Facebook custom audiences enable some of the most powerful targeting features available to us as Facebook advertisers. They're what enable us to do retargeting, which in the vast majority of situations deliver us the best results, meaning the lowest cost per lead and lowest cost per purchase. Even after iOS 14.5 dramatically changed the Facebook and Instagram advertising landscape, custom audiences remain an extremely effective tool, and if you're not using them, chances are you're not getting the best performance possible with your Facebook and Instagram ad. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to use them. We're going to look at the different types of Facebook custom audiences available to us, what each of them do, how to actually create them and set them up, and perhaps most importantly, how to actually use them effectively inside a Facebook ad strategy. What this is going to do is help you get better results with your Facebook and Instagram ads. So what is a Facebook custom audience? Well, essentially, it's a group of people who performed a specific action that you can determine, who you can then show your Facebook ads to. One of the simplest examples is known as a website custom audience. Essentially, what these allow you to do is create a custom audience that contains everybody who's visited your website. Once you do that, you can then set up a Facebook ad that shows ads just to those people. Meaning whenever somebody visits your website, for whatever period of time you deem, it could be a week, it could be up to 6 months, they will see the ads that you want to show them. You've probably experienced this in action without even knowing it. Maybe you've gone to a company's website, browsed around for something, and then left without purchasing, and suddenly your Facebook and Instagram newsfeed are filled with ads from that company. That's a website retargeting custom audience in action. And if you've ever gone on and clicked one of those ads and made a purchase, then you've witnessed firsthand exactly how powerful these types of ads can be. This actually happened to me just the other night. My wife was on a particular website here in Australia browsing for furniture for our daughter's bedroom. All of a sudden, I opened my Facebook app on my phone and I started seeing ads for that furniture company in my newsfeed. That's because Facebook knows that I'm on the same Wi-Fi, meaning the same IP address, and I was getting put into a website visitor custom audience and then retargeted because of what my wife was actually browsing for. And as we go through this video, you might be surprised by how easy it is to actually do this for your own business. Now let's talk about the different types of custom audiences that are available and what each one is for. There are many different types and each one is based on a different type of user behavior. And they're broken down into two main groups. Your sources, which are basically custom audiences that are based on data that you own or you control. And the second group is meta sources. And this is based on data that is owned and controlled by the Meta platform, meaning Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. So within your sources, the first one we've got is website, which we just used in that example. This is your website and all traffic coming to your website. These rely on something called the Meta Pixel. Now, this is basically a piece of code that you put on your website. From that point on, every time somebody visits your site, it sends information back to Facebook to tell them who visited the site, which pages they visited, and when they actually visited them. And that is what enables you to create website custom audiences. The next one in this group are customer list custom audiences. Now, this is where you actually take a list of your customers or even your leads. Basically, it's a series of email addresses or phone numbers, plus other data that you have available. Could be things like name, address, plus a bunch of other different fields. You upload that to Facebook. Facebook then creates your custom audience for you, and you can show ads to those people. The next one is app activity. These are custom audiences based on activity inside a mobile app if you own a mobile app. Then you've got offline activity-based custom audiences. Now these are where you have, let's say, a brick and mortar store. People are performing activities in an offline environment, meaning literally picking a product up off a shelf, taking it to the counter and purchasing it, for example. You can then upload that offline activity to Facebook and create a custom audience based off of that. Now the last one in this group is catalog. Now this is mainly used in e-commerce, where you have an online store with a bunch of different products. I'm not going to go into it too much in this video because that's not my main focus. I mainly focus on online courses and coaching. But basically what happens here is e-commerce stores can upload their product catalog. And basically what they can do from there is create custom audiences based on different product segments or groups or types and show you ads based on that. Here's a quick example of that. Let's say you're on an e-commerce website and you're looking to buy a pair of pants. Well, if you browse through a bunch of different pants, you don't purchase and you leave, it's really easy for that e-commerce store owner to set up a catalog-based custom audience then to say, hey, this person looked at pants and they didn't buy, show them other products in that same category. So not only do you just get retargeted by that store, you actually see ads that show products in the same category as you are already looking at. That's the power of these catalog-based custom audiences. Now let's talk about the custom audiences that fall under the Meta Sources group. The first one is video-based custom audiences. These are where somebody interacts, engages, or views a video that you post directly on Facebook. Now this isn't a link off to a video. This is where you actually upload videos on your Facebook page to Facebook. If somebody watches that video, you can then create a custom audience based off of those video views and retarget people who've watched that video. We've then got Instagram account-based custom audiences. These are based off of people who engage with your Instagram account. Next up, we've got lead form custom audiences. If you're using lead forms to collect leads through the Meta platform, then you can actually create custom audiences based on what people have done in terms of engaging with your lead forms. Maybe somebody's started to fill out that lead form but didn't finish it. You can create a custom audience based off of that and then retarget those people. And as I said earlier, we're going to talk about more of these strategies and how to use these later in the video. This is just a quick overview of the different types of custom audiences available. Next up, we've got event-based custom audiences. If you host events or use the events feature within Facebook, then you can create custom audiences based off of the way people have engaged with your events. We've also got instant experience-based custom audiences. Instant experience ads are those ones that open up and expand inside the Facebook platform, and people can engage with those in a number of different ways. And we can actually create instant experience-based custom audiences based off of that engagement. Then we have Facebook page custom audiences, which are based on the engagement with your Facebook page. So if somebody performs specific types of engagement with your page, you can add them to a custom audience and show them ads based on that. Finally, we've got shopping and on Facebook listing. I won't go into these in too much detail, but basically these are based on the engagement with the shopping and the Facebook Marketplace features. Now, while we're on the topic of the different types of custom audiences, I think it's really important to talk about how iOS 14.5 affected custom audiences, because they were hit by the iOS 14.5 privacy changes, but only some custom audience types were affected by it. The ones that were hardest hit were website custom audiences, and I won't go into too much detail here, but the reason for that is basically because those website custom audiences rely on the Facebook Pixel. And the Facebook Pixel relies on a device ID on an iOS device to match the users visiting a website with the user on Facebook. iOS 14.5 removed the ability for Facebook to get that device ID if somebody's opted out of tracking. So what that's resulted in is a much lower match rate of website visitors to custom audience members. So you might have 1,000 people visit your website, but maybe only 400 or 500 of those people actually go into your custom audiences and are available for targeting. Simply because Facebook can't match the rest of those users up with actual Facebook users on their platform to show your ads to them. But the custom audiences that rely on engagement and interaction inside Meta's platforms, meaning Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and WhatsApp, weren't actually affected because users are performing all of that activity inside Meta's own apps. They can track every single little thing, meaning every click on every post, every view of every video can all be tracked and has not been affected in any way by iOS 14.5. So that's important to note because we're going to leverage that when we use some of these strategies that I'm going to talk about very soon. So all of that said, let's jump over now to the Facebook Ad Manager and take a look at how to set up Facebook custom audiences. So the first thing you're going to do is head over to your Facebook Ad Manager account. I'm here in my example account, and what we need to do next is click on the menu on the left and click on Audiences. If you don't see it up here in Shortcuts, you may need to scroll down and find it in the list. Now, once that tab loads, you'll probably see something like this if you've never created a custom audience before. I'm in my test account and it's brand new. So I see this screen and I'm going to click Create a Custom Audience. Now, if you see a different screen, there's a button in the top left, a blue button there. You can click that and click Create Custom Audience as well. So you can see here, now I need to choose my custom audience source. I'm going to start by choosing a website custom audience to show you in this example and click Next. Now you'll need to choose a pixel here. Now, if you haven't set up the Meta Pixel on your website, I do have a video that will walk you through exactly how to do that. You can click the little thing at the top of the video here right now or the link in the description to walk you through that. I recommend go through all of this video, and then if you need to do the pixel thing, go watch that video next, check it out, and that will help you do it. All right, so we'll choose our pixel. Now we choose events. Now you can see here, we can choose all of our website visitors, or we can choose people who visit specific pages, or visitors by time spent. Now in that situation, you could actually create an audience that contains only people who've viewed a specific page or viewed any page for longer than a time that you specify. I don't use those very often, and in this example, we're just going to go with all website visitors. Next up, you choose a retention period. Now, what this means is you can choose how long somebody should stay in this custom audience for after they perform this specific action. So if I was to choose 30 days here, what I would be telling Facebook is when somebody hits my website, I want them to go into this custom audience. And I want them to stay in this custom audience for 30 days from the date and time in which they first visited my website. After 30 days, Facebook will automatically remove them from this custom audience. So this is a rolling audience, meaning when somebody hits your website, they go into this audience, they stay in this audience for whichever time period you specify, and then they are removed automatically. Now, you're probably thinking, what happens if they come back and visit a week later? Well, that resets the clock. So they actually start their 30-day period, in this case, all over again. So what I recommend you do is I'm going to create one that is 180 days long. Now that is the maximum duration that we can actually choose for a website visitor custom audience. And the reason for that is because this audience will then be as large as possible. I'll talk more about the pros and cons of this and how to use it in a little bit. But for now, we'll go 180 days. The next thing you need to do is give your audience a name. Now you can always call these whatever you want, as long as it's memorable and you know what it is. The way I like to do it is I will generally specify what it is and the duration. So I'll say something like this for this one. All website visitors, 180D. The reason I go 180D is just because it's shorter and we only get a limited number of characters. From there, you click Create Audience, and it's going to automatically go and create your custom audience for you. Now, what you'll notice when you first set this up is you'll see the audience name, the type, and over here you'll see an estimated audience size, and it's actually pending, size not yet available. It will take a few hours for this to populate, so don't panic if you come back in a few minutes and it still says pending. But the other thing that's really important to note here is if you've only just installed the Facebook Pixel on your website, it can't retroactively or retrospectively go back and add people who visited your website before the Pixel was installed. It's only going to start adding people to this audience from the time in which you installed the Pixel on your website. So even if you're not going to run ads right now, I recommend you go and install the Pixel today, so that when you do want to come in and run ads and you want to set up your custom audiences, you can go back and target all of those people who visited before you set up your custom audience. Now you'll see over here the availability says ready. Although it says ready, if you were to go and set up ads and target this custom audience right now, it's probably going to take a little while for those ads to actually start running because the audience isn't populated yet. And then you've just got other details here like date created and the audience ID, which don't really mean much except if you need to go back and remember when you created a particular audience. The next one I'm going to show you is how to create a customer list custom audience. So what we're going to do now is click on Create Audience, Custom Audience, and then you can choose Customer List. Hit Next. From here, it's going to ask you to import a list in a CSV format. So from your email provider, and each one of them is slightly different, I use ActiveCampaign, you're going to be able to export a CSV of your contacts. So you can choose your customers and export just a CSV of those. You can choose people who've opted in to your email list, or you can choose your entire list, for example, export it as a CSV, and you can upload it here. So we click Next. Now, this is usually no, but if you do have a column that contains the amount that each customer has spent with you, then you would choose yes for this. But otherwise, you would choose no and click Next. And make sure you've agreed to their terms before you do that. Hit Next. Okay, now upload your file here. So I'm going to drag my CSV in. Click Next. Now, the really important thing here is you'll see over here we've got mapped, and it's mapped email and phone number, and it's got action needed over here. Now you want to make sure you click on the action needed tab and then go through and match as many of these fields as you can, because that's going to increase the match rate on Facebook's side. The more data you can give Facebook, the more likely it's going to be that Facebook will be able to match that record that you uploaded to an actual Facebook user and then add them to your custom audience. So you go through here and you simply look at these fields, and we've got first name here. We click that drop down and match it to first name. So we're telling Facebook that the data in that first name column in the spreadsheet that we uploaded is the first name. And in this case, the last name column, we match that to last name, and you would go through that entire list and make sure you match as many of them as you can. Now here I've got 43 remaining. I'm not going to be able to match every single one of those because Facebook only has a limited set of fields that it actually accepts. But do as many as you can. The bare minimum is an email or a phone number. You must have one of those two pieces of information and the rest are optional. Once you've gone through and selected all of those, we simply click import and create. Facebook hashes all of this information before it uploads it, meaning Facebook don't actually see any of the details you upload. They just get these long hashed pieces of data that they can then go and match to their own hashed pieces of data. So just in case you're wondering how that works. Now, once that uploads, it's going to do the same thing that we saw with our website custom audience, meaning it's going to actually take a bit of time to match that audience up and populate the audience before you can use it. Once it's done, you simply click done and you can see it here in the list and you can see it says estimated audience size not available and that it is populating. And again, that can take a few hours to do, so you do need to be patient. Now, I'm not going to go through and create every single type of audience here because honestly, I think that would be a little bit boring and I don't think you need to see all of them in action. But I will go through and just show you how to create a video view custom audience because that is slightly different to the ones we've just seen. With that one, you choose video and go across. Now you can actually choose different duration. Now I can specify people who viewed 3 seconds of a video, 10 seconds of a video, 25%, 55%, and you can see the list right here. Basically, you choose your duration that you want. Then you can select specific videos from your Facebook page to add to this custom audience. So you can say, I only want people in this audience if they've watched 25% of this particular video, or you can select a whole series of videos. And these can be videos on Facebook and Instagram. You can see over here, we've got the little Instagram icon and the Facebook icon. So you choose whichever videos you want and simply click confirm. And again, we can choose retention. That works exactly the same as a website custom audience, and you can create your audience like that. The other ones that most people tend to use are Instagram account and Facebook page. These ones are very similar to the website custom audience. You can choose them, select your page, and then you can choose different engagement types. Everyone who engaged with your page, people who follow your page or like your page, people who visited your page, and a bunch of other different things. And Instagram is going to be very similar. We can choose your Instagram account, select the engagement type, the duration or retention, and create your audience that way. Now, something I should have mentioned with the customer list custom audiences that is also a little different, and it's really important to know, is that those aren't rolling audiences. Obviously, with the list that you uploaded, the only way the information in there can change is if you upload new information to Facebook. Now, there are third-party tools that can actually do this for you on the fly, meaning every time you get a new purchase, it will automatically add that person to your customer list custom audience. The tool I use is LeadsBridge, but the other way you can do it is simply updating it manually. So I could click this list, come back in a week, and let's say I have an updated customer list. You can click on it, you can click edit, you can click add customers, and you can upload your new updated list. Go through the process, click next, do the matching again, and it's going to add those new email addresses to the existing list. And you don't have to separate it for Facebook. You can simply upload the full list all over again. Facebook will automatically deduplicate, meaning if somebody's already in your custom audience, it's not going to add them in twice or anything like that. It's just going to add the new email addresses or customer list information that you provide. So a really handy tip, something important to know there. Now that you've seen how to actually create your custom audiences, let's talk about how we use them in a Facebook ad strategy and a few of the most common and effective ways to retarget using custom audiences. To do this, we're going to go back to the Facebook Ad Manager. We're going to set up a new campaign. So click the menu on the left, go back to Ads Manager, and then we're going to click this green button to create a new campaign. Now it's going to ask you to choose an objective, and this is a really important step. And there are a few nuances here that you need to be aware of, particularly when you're using custom audiences. The advice that you're going to hear most often with Facebook ads and campaign objectives is that you should use the objective that aligns most closely with what you actually want to achieve. Meaning, if you want to get leads or sales or other types of conversions, you should choose the conversion objective. If you simply want traffic to your website, meaning you're sending people to a blog post or other type of content, you would choose traffic. If you wanted engagement on a post, you would choose engagement, etc., etc. And this is generally great advice. It's what I recommend doing for most campaigns. But With custom audiences, often they can be quite small, meaning for some custom audiences, you might have thousands or maybe even just hundreds of people inside of that particular custom audience. And what happens when you have really small audiences is, depending on the objective you choose here, you can actually run into delivery problems, meaning people don't actually see your ads because the audience is too small for the objective that you've chosen. So let's say I was going to retarget my website visitors and I had very little website traffic. Let's say I had 1,000 people inside of that custom audience. If I choose the conversions objective and choose something like the purchase event to optimize for, that is likely to result in a situation where I get very little reach or maybe even no reach at all, meaning nobody sees my ads. The reason for that is because depending on the objective you choose, Facebook looks at the total audience that you give it, and then it tries to show your ads to people inside of that audience who it thinks will perform that particular action. So if I say I want conversions and I want purchases, and I say, here's my custom audience with 1,000 people, Facebook will look at that audience and it will say, okay, I'm only going to show your ads to people in this audience here who I think are likely to purchase. So what it does is it effectively further reduces the potential audience size from 1,000 down to just the few people who Facebook thinks are likely to go ahead and make a purchase at this point in time. And for that reason, if the audience is already small and you make it even smaller, you might not get delivery. So what I recommend is try using the objective that best suits, but if you don't get delivery, the best thing you can do here is choose the reach objective. If you've got a very small audience of a few hundred, maybe even a few thousand people, I would choose the reach objective, because what that does is it tells Facebook, I just want to show my ads to the maximum number of people possible within the audience that I give you. So if we take that same example and we've got a custom audience that only has 1,000 people in it, and we choose the reach objective, you're telling Facebook, hey, just show your ads to as many people in this audience as you possibly can. Doesn't matter if you think they're going to convert into a lead or a customer or what. I just want you to show them these particular ads. And we'll talk about an example of where this is particularly effective very soon. But that gives you an idea of how to choose the objective. So I'm going to say I'll choose conversions in this case, because the first thing I'm going to show you here is how to create a retargeting campaign for people who've engaged with you in the last 6 to 12 months. So we'll go conversions and click continue. Now the campaign we're going to create in this situation is ideal for a short-term promotion. Let's say you've got a sale coming up or you've got a launch coming up and you want to do a short-term promotion. And what you want to do is make sure that your ads get in front of everybody who's already familiar with you and your company and your brand. So people who've engaged with your website, engaged with you on the Meta platform, meaning Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, any of those places. Maybe they've watched videos, and you also want to show it to people on your email list. So this means that we can get our promotional material for the short period of time that it's available in front of everybody who is already aware of our brand. These are the people who are most likely to convert, and this is most likely going to be your most profitable campaign when you do run these short-term promotions or sales or events. So we're going to give this a name and call it warm audience retargeting, and we'll just call it August sale as an example. Okay, we don't need to select anything here. We'll go down to our ad set level and we'll give our ad set a name. So I'll call it all warm audiences. And we'll just call it all placements. You can call that whatever you feel is best. Now, the conversion event location here, I'm going to say website. Now, for the conversion event, I'm going to click here and I'm going to optimize for leads. So what I'm aiming to do here is get everybody who's not on my email list already to come and join my list for my launch, as an example. So I've chosen lead, and ignore this because this is an example account and I haven't got it set up properly yet. We set our daily budget, go down here to our audiences, and I'm going to choose who I target. Now, I mentioned before that I want to target all of my website visitors. I'm not going to target my email list. I know I mentioned that at the start, but because I'm bringing leads onto my email list, I don't actually want to target my existing list because they're already on my list. But I'll show you what we can do with that audience in just a moment. So now, existing audiences, we want to target people who've engaged with us on social media. So I'm going to create a new audience, a new custom audience here. And I'm actually going to create a Facebook page custom audience. Click next. I'm going to choose my Facebook page here. I'm going to say everybody who engaged with my page. So that means people who visited the page or took action on a post or ad, meaning liking, commenting, sharing, all of those good things. That is also by default going to be people who followed my page because they had to visit it to follow it. Now I'm going to say the longest retention period here, 365 days, and I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to say all Facebook page engages 365 days. I'm going to create that audience. Now you'll see, because I created the audience from within the ad manager here, and I didn't do it through the audiences screen like I showed you before, it already adds it to my targeting in my custom audiences. Next up, I'm going to create another custom audience. I'm actually going to choose Instagram account here and click next. And I'm going to choose my Instagram account and everyone who engaged with this account in the last 365 days. And I'm going to call it Instagram Engages 365 days. Create that audience. Now I'm going to hit done. All right, so at this point, effectively what we're saying is we want our ads to be shown to all of our website visitors in the last 180 days and anyone who's engaged with us on Facebook or Instagram in the last 365 days. Now what I can do is I can actually click exclude, and I can exclude my email list audience so that I make sure that my ads don't get shown to people who are already on my email list. Because you'll remember I uploaded my full email list here as a customer list custom audience not too long ago. And I think this is also a great time to show you how we can use website visitor custom audiences for specific web pages to create dynamic audiences as well. So what I effectively want to do here is make sure that if somebody clicks on my ad and opts into my email list today, that they will then stop seeing ads. And I can use a website custom audience to do that. Here's how. I'm going to click create new custom audience, and I'm going to choose website. I'll click next. Now here I'm going to choose people who visited specific web pages. And I'm going to say in the last 180 days, where the URL contains, and now I'm going to put the unique portion of the URL that people visit after they opt into my email list. So for me, after somebody opts into my email list, they see this page. It's a simple thank you page saying, thanks, your content is arriving soon. So what I want to do is I'm going to grab this URL, and you notice I've just excluded the HTTPS and the slash at the back end. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to enter it in right here. Now that's saying that anyone who visits that specific page will go into this custom audience and will remain there for 180 days. Then we just give it a name and click create audience. Now just be careful when you do these. You'll see here again, it's automatically added it to my exclusion list, but sometimes it can get confused and it will add it to include. So make sure it adds it to the section that you want it to be added to. So now what I'm saying is anyone who opts into my email list is actually going to hit that thank you page. That will cause them to be added to my opted into email list website custom audience. And then I'm excluding them. You can see I've got them in the exclusion list here from my ads. So what that means is when they do opt in, they're automatically going to then be excluded from my ads like that. It's a rolling website custom audience, which means it happens automatically and I don't need to come in and upload that list every single day to make this happen. Next, we go down here and choose locations. So I would go down and choose locations, age, and everything else as I normally would. I recommend not using detailed targeting here because if you add any interests in here, it's actually an and relationship, meaning they have to be inside these custom audiences and inside the interests that you choose in order to be targeted. And that makes your audience really, really small. It shrinks it down dramatically. And there's not much point doing that because the idea of this campaign is to show ads to all of our warm audiences or all of the people who already know us. And from here, we would go and finish creating our campaign as we normally would, meaning setting up our ads and publishing that campaign. Now, the reason this is so effective is because you're showing ads to people who already know, like, and trust you to some degree. They're the most likely people to convert into leads and customers. The downside of this, however, is it only works for a short period of time. And that's why I recommend using this particular retargeting strategy for something like a launch or a short-term promotion. I would only run these ads for maybe 7 to 10 days at most. The reason for that is because all of these people who are in these 6 to 12 month long custom audiences, are going to keep seeing your same ads over and over again as long as this campaign is running. And eventually people get sick of that and they stop responding. We call that frequency. So your frequency score inside the Facebook Ad Manager basically tells you how many times on average a person inside your target audience has seen your ads. So if your frequency score inside a campaign is 5, it means that on average, the people inside your target audience for that campaign have seen your ads 5 times. So you can see how that's going to wear thin with an audience after not too long. As I said, the best way to go about that is to run these campaigns in short bursts. Run them for 7 to 10 days or until your frequency gets up around 6 or 7, and then you'll start to see declining performance, and that's probably where you should turn them off. Now, if you don't regularly run promotions, then what I would do is simply run these every few months. Run them for a little while, pause them, and then wait a few months and run them again. And even better, make sure you refresh the ads inside them every time you run them, so that people aren't just seeing the same ads pop up every few months, but they're brand new ads, and you help avoid that ad fatigue situation. Now, another great way to use custom audiences in a retargeting scenario is to use those custom audiences that allow you to specify a duration to create a campaign that you can leave running in the background that just keeps working without running into those ad fatigue issues and high frequency issues. The way you do that is go in and create a bunch of custom audiences that have a 7 to 10 day window, meaning that when somebody is added to those audiences, they only stay in the audience for 7 to 10 days before automatically being removed. Now, let's look at a quick example here. Let's say you set one up to retarget people who visit your website. This is one of my favorite strategies to use. Somebody visits your website, and if they don't opt into your email list or purchase, you can then set up a retargeting campaign that will show them ads for a week after they visit your website. And then if they don't take action, it's going to stop showing them those ads automatically because they'll drop out of the custom audience. Okay, so what we're going to do is click create a new campaign. I'm going to choose new campaign up here. For this one, I'm going to choose reach. The reason for that is because this audience is going to be quite small because it's only a 7-day window, meaning it only contains people who visited the website in the last 7 days. So I'm going to choose reach and click continue. And then we've got our new campaign. So we'll give that a name. And then I'm going to go down to my ad set. I can give that a name as well. I would normally give it a more detailed name as you've seen, but for this example and to keep it brief, I'm just going to leave it at that. Now I'm going to go down here and choose my Facebook page. Select that one. You can go down here and select your budget. And now here we're going to choose our custom audiences. For this one, I'm going to need to create a new custom audience. I'm going to click here. I'm going to choose website and click next. All I'm going to do is choose all website visitors and select 7 days. So anyone who visits my website within a 7-day period goes into here, and I'm just going to give it a name and create that audience. Click done. So now this is a good example. You can see here it's automatically added it to my exclude list, and I don't want to exclude these people, so I'm going to remove it from there. And I'm going to add it to this include section up here, which is what I want. So I'm saying anyone who has visited my website in the last 7 days is who we want to show our ads to. Down here in exclude, I'm going to actually exclude everyone who's already opted into my email list in the last 180 days. Because again, we're creating this nice rolling campaign that we can leave running indefinitely. And so we want to make sure that once somebody opts into the list, they're automatically excluded. I'm actually going to go through here and exclude my customer list, custom audience as well, because that's got my full email list and it's got a better match rate. You'll remember what I was saying earlier about iOS 14.5 and the impact it had on website custom audiences. Because we know that the match rate on those isn't great, meaning all of our website visitors aren't actually going to go into our custom audience, it's not perfect, then I want to make sure that I'm excluding as many of my email subscribers from this as possible so I'm not wasting money. And so the best way to do that is using my website custom audience, but also using my customer list custom audience because it's going to have a higher match rate. And as long as I keep going in and updating that full email list custom audience by exporting my email list regularly and going in and updating that list, it's going to provide me the best coverage possible in terms of excluding audiences. And from here, of course, you would go in and finish setting your ads up just as you normally would. And this is actually something that I would add as one of the first things when I set up a new Facebook ad account or strategy, because it's going to bring in nice low-cost leads on a regular basis. And those leads are high quality because they've visited your website already, they're warm warm, meaning they're lower cost to turn into email subscribers, but they're also more likely to turn into customers. So it's a nice, high value, low cost ad campaign that you can run. Now I'm going to quickly show you one more strategy here, and that is a video view audience retargeting strategy. And the reason this is quite effective is because we know that video views haven't been affected by the iOS 14.5 privacy changes like our website custom audiences have. So what we can do is we can show videos on the Facebook platform, meaning we post videos to our Facebook page. And if somebody watches that video, let's say they sit there and they watch a full 5-minute video on our page, that is a very warm audience member, meaning that person must really like you if they've just sat down and watched a 5-minute video of yours. It's the perfect opportunity to then go and show them an ad. So we can create a campaign that's quite similar to the one we just created for our website visitors, but we create it for our video viewers. So what we would do is we'd come in here and again, choose our objective. For this one, I'm going to choose reach, click continue, and I'm going to go down to my ad set. Now, again, we choose our Facebook page. So I'm going to choose mine here and we scroll down. Now I'm going to need to create a new custom audience again for this one. But in this case, I'm going to choose a video custom audience, click next. And now I'm going to choose my engagement type. The most important thing here to take note of is that people who watch more of a video obviously are more likely to convert into a lead or a customer. They're a higher quality audience if they've watched more of a particular piece of content. The downside is the higher percentage you choose, the smaller the audience is going to be, because obviously there are going to be more people who've watched 25% of any given video than there are who've watched 95%. So you need to find that nice balance. I like to go with a 75% video view audience if the video is around 2 to 3 minutes long. So we'll choose that here and we'll again choose a 7-day window because we want to create this nice rolling custom audience again. So if somebody watches a video of yours, then for the next 7 days, they'll see this particular retargeting campaign. But after that 7-day period, they're going to drop out of that audience automatically and they will stop seeing your ads, which again prevents them from getting frustrated and having a bad experience, and also saves you money because you're not showing ads to people who definitely aren't interested. So we'll give this audience a name. And then I'm going to choose my videos. So you would just go in and choose whichever videos you like here. And click confirm and create your audience. Done. We would do the same exclusions here. So we're going to exclude people who are already on our email list using those two audiences opted in. Do the same exclusions, set up the ad set and the rest of the campaign as you normally would, and you can get that ad up and running. Now, the great thing about video views is you can get a view for cents. I mean, it's not uncommon for us to get a 50% or 75% video view for less than 10 cents. And if that's a few minutes worth of video watch time, that's a really high quality audience that we can then go and show our ads to get them to become email subscribers. So we would show ads that lead to a lead magnet or a free opt-in to get those people from just a viewer on Facebook to becoming an email subscriber. The key with custom audiences and retargeting strategies in general is to think about the customer journey. Think about how your customers engage with you, what they're doing, and think about what your business objectives are and how your sales funnel works. Maybe you get them onto an email list, you nurture them through, show them more content, and then you pitch them on a sale. Well, once you know that, you can use custom audiences and these retargeting strategies to help strengthen that journey and help move them through each different phase. And the other thing that custom audiences are really, really good for is creating what are known as lookalike audiences. And these are really powerful when you want to target cold traffic. Targeting custom audiences and retargeting, like what I've just shown you, is fantastic for warm traffic. But when you want to go out to cold traffic, lookalikes are what you want to go for. And if you want to learn how to set up lookalikes, make sure you watch this video next. I'll show you how to use lookalikes and the best ones to use to get really good results from your cold Facebook ad strategies. Hope you've enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.